And that's our cue to start. Thank you everyone for coming. And we are going to get straight into this. Johnny's here. Brilliant. Feel free to take a copy of the Gemaras. Thank you for putting them out. And very interesting topic this week. Very interesting. Little known, and even if it is known, it's little understood. Just to recap where we're holding. We had a Mishnah on the first page of the Gemara, that Beitzah Aleph, that brought us a dispute between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai about an egg that was born on Yom Tov. And Beis Hillel said you're not allowed to eat that egg, and Beis Shammai said you are allowed to eat that. Now, we are trying to understand what exactly is the principle that they're arguing about. We had a suggestion last week from Rav Nachman, and Rav Nachman suggested that potentially they're arguing about a case of muktzah. It's something that is dedicated or has not been dedicated for use on Yom Tov, and therefore is going to be forbidden. And we discussed about how we were talking about a chicken that was brought in to lay eggs, and then we discussed why that might be a problem, and basically came out and said that if we're talking about muktzah, well, then we should have a dispute regarding the actual chicken itself more than the egg. So we've rejected Rav Nachman, and now we're moving on to our second suggestion about what this argument about Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai is. Now, again, if we, I say this every week, but we really should know the answer to this question. We really should know the answer. And had people studied, diligently enough, we wouldn't have lost all this material and we'd be able to know the answer. But as it is, we are going through this discussion, and we're going to kick off with our second suggested answer about the dispute between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel with Rabbi. So this is, if you're, it's on your pages. It should be, basically top of your first page there. So, 2b, what is it? 2b squared. 2b, right? 2b, not to be very good, Paul. Omar Rabbi. So it says, Rabbi, I'll tell you what Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are arguing about. I'm going to tell you what they're arguing about. Really, we're talking about a chicken that you've brought in with the intent, or you've bought this chicken with the intention of eating it. Remember, we had a whole discussion about, is this chicken for raising eggs? Is it for eating? I'll tell you what, this is a chicken that is brought in to eat it. And this is very important. This yomtov that we're talking about in the Mishnah, this yomtov that this chicken laid the egg, is a yomtov that came on a Sunday. So you have a Shabbos, and then you have a Sunday. What's the problem with an egg that was born on a Sunday? Says Rabbi, umishum hachana. There's a problem here of preparation. Now, this concept of hachana is a little understood concept. A lot of people think that it means preparing for the next day. It's not as simple as that, and we're gonna have to refine what this issue is. Let's go through what Rabbi's saying is. He's saying the problem is hachana, which we're going to translate as preparation. Ukesova Rabbi, and Rabbi understands kol Beitzah de misyalda ha'idla. Any egg that is laid now, mi'etmol gomrolai, was really formed yesterday. Now, what this means is you have an egg that was essentially created on Shabbos, but only comes into being on Yom Tov. Now, the problem here is, as Rashi explains, is that last week we talked about the concept of muktzah and the idea that you have to prepare anything before Shabbos or Yom Tov before you use it on Shabbos or Yom Tov. Now, since Yom Tov and Shabbos require preparation, if you were to use Shabbos to prepare for Yom Tov that came the next day afterwards, it's a bit disrespectful for Shabbos. You don't want to use Shabbos as your prep day for Yom Tov. And the same would be true of Yom Tov. You wouldn't want to use Yom Tov as your preparation day for Shabbos. So what Rabbi's really picking up on here is essentially a question of respect. We're worried that you might come to treat Shabbos as a preparation for the Yom Tov that comes after. So I'm sure we've all done this, you get stressed, you haven't made enough food for the, the Yom Tov that's coming after Shabbos, so you're quickly trying to hustle up some stuff. And it's in a sense, a bit degrading to treat Shabbos as simply a way to get your ducks in a row or chickens in a row for the Yom Tov that comes afterwards. Now, it's very interesting to note that the next few words, let's read the next few words. V'Rabba l'ta'ameh, and Rabbi holds that, where are we in the article?
halfway down the first paragraph.
Halfway down the first paragraph. But Rabbi Latami, and Rabbi, he is machmir. He says that we're going to go like Beit Hillel, and he has and the Shita Beitzah, is a commentary, says, I'll tell you how, or I'll tell you why Rabbi is stringent in this case, and it's such a brilliant proof. He says the following: where do we know this concept of preparation from? We know it from the Jews in the desert. The Jews in the desert, as we saw last week, had manna falling from the sky. And Moshe tells the Jewish people, you have to basically set aside your manna on Friday for Shabbos. Now let's think about, what is this mon? This mon is something that is just sort of popping into existence now. Or you could say that it's not something that you have prepared directly. The Jews did not prepare the mon. So you see from there that even something that you didn't necessarily prepare yourself, but has come into a practical spotlight on Yom Tov, is a problem. So in a sense, Rabbi is saying the reason why this chicken laying an egg is a problem is sourced from the fact that the mon that fell from the sky was also a problem. Because you could ask, well, I understand that to prepare food on Shabbos for Yom Tov that's coming afterwards is disrespectful for Shabbos, because I'm just using it to warm up for my Shabbos. But here, I didn't do anything. This chicken's going through its normal biological process. And it happens to be that biological process comes to an end on Yom Tov. But I didn't do anything practically to desecrate Shabbos. I didn't do anything that was disrespectful for Shabbos. The chicken did it. So Rabbi says, you see from the fact that the mon couldn't fall on Shabbos because of a problem, you see that therefore, even though you had nothing to do with the mon, and to have mon fall from the sky would be Hashem's preparation, not yours. So technically you haven't done anything wrong. You see from there that the chicken's egg is also a problem. So the Shita Beitzah is a commentary on this. He says the reason why Rabbi holds like Beis Hillel and says that this egg is a problem is because it's directly parallel to the mon, which we also saw was a problem. Okay. Right. I'm just wondering if now's a good time to bring it. Now's a very good time. Does anyone spot the potential issue with this? Meaning that if Shabbos, to have an egg on Sunday is disrespectful to Shabbos. And we're talking about a case where you have a Yom Tov after a Shabbos.
You're allowed to the other way around. You're allowed to Erev Tashilin and see stuff.
Yes, Erev Tashilin is a way around a lot of these problems. Yeah, 100%, around this 100% right. There are ways around this, and we're going to we'll talk through some Hachana problems.
Okay.
But there's a big problem here, which is let's forget Yom Tov. Let's go to a normal Sunday. If I have an egg that is laid on Sunday, did Shabbos not prepare that egg for me? Is it not disrespectful to eat eggs on any Sunday, regardless of whether it's Yom Tov? Because at the end of the day, Shabbos prepared that egg. And if it's disrespectful to prepare from Shabbos to Yom Tov, it's definitely disrespectful to prepare from Shabbos to Sunday. So how do we ever eat eggs on Sunday?
Well, any day, because how do you know when the egg was laid?
Oh, well, let's say that the egg was laid on Friday. Yeah. Chickens lay eggs every day.
Yeah.
So if an egg was laid on Friday, you could assume that it wasn't, what's the word? Fermented?
Incubated.
No, are we assuming? Are we assuming it's a 24-hour period from conception of the egg to laying it? Is that right?
Let's assume, yes. Although funny fact. Well, it definitely does follow some sort of 24-hour processing, because in battery farms, they actually mess with the lighting, and they'll do, instead of 24-hour cycles of light and dark, they'll start shortening it to, let's say, 9-hour cycles, and the chickens think a new day is coming, and they actually end up laying more eggs. So it is actually, I don't know if it's exactly 24 hours, but it's definitely a daily thing. So to have an egg, let's say, laid on Yom Tov afternoon means it probably started on Shabbos afternoon.
Isn't the problem, one of the few problems, that there's waste? Why Jewish people do not support waste, being wasteful?
Yes.
So if you're saying we can't eat it on a Sunday despite the fact it was created on Saturday, isn't that wasteful?
That is a fascinating point. Yes, I mean, there's that would be a really, I could definitely hear that. I mean, obviously, has anyone ever heard of a prohibition of eating eggs on Sunday? It sounds like I'm starting a new religion here.
No, only because most Jewish families make so much of leftovers on a Sunday.
Oh, no. So again, this goes into our concept of hachana. It doesn't literally mean preparation. The Rashi asks this question, and he says the answer here is because since Shabbos and Yom Tov need preparation, you have to have a preparation window. Therefore, the day before Yom Tov or Shabbos is clearly that preparation time. But nothing on Sunday needs preparation. You can wake up to your dinner plans on Sunday night, on Sunday afternoon. You don't have to think about Sunday the day before. So it's not clear, it's not obvious that you started thinking about Sunday on Shabbos. There's no danger of real preparation on Shabbos for Sunday. So when we say the word hachana, or the problem that Rabbi is bringing here in this setup where we have a chicken that's laying an egg on a Sunday, which is a Yom Tov as well, is that Yom Tov mandates a day of preparation beforehand. So Shabbos is definitely that day of preparation. Sunday requires no preparation the day before. So that's the issue that we're running into. I was just reading this and I thought, Riva was famously, she likes to bring things into practicality, even though she's not here. And this is a real halacha. It's in the first instance forbidden to prepare on Shabbos for Yom Tov the day after. I think we have. Oh, don't know. No, I don't know if we have any 3-day Yom Tovs coming up. But for example, if you were
Just had
Shavuot was Sunday.
Shavuot, brilliant.
Shavuot Sunday, Monday.
Brilliant. Shabbos, Sunday, Monday. So for you to start doing the dishes on on Shabbos for Shavuot Sunday night or Sunday day is going to be a big problem. Just to qualify this a little bit, let me ask you this. Can I put ice cubes in the freezer on a Shabbos afternoon when it's Yom Tov the next day?
There's water.
It's water, so I'm going to freeze it. And there's no, I'm asking purely in a preparatory sense. There's no issue with freezing water on Shabbos. You can't do either. You can't do Yom Tov for Shabbos either.
You can.
With exactly, with Erev Tavshil. Right.
So you're saying,
okay, let's talk about a normal Shabbos and it's Sunday. So you're not allowed to prepare on Shabbos for Sunday either. So can I put the ice cubes in the freezer on Shabbos afternoon? Why not?
because you'll be using it the day after, not if you assume you're using it the day after, not the day you're freezing them.
The form is changing.
The form changing for a separate reason is not an issue, and that's because halachically ice is just water in an enforced state. But
what about if you said, oh, actually, I might use some of that ice later that day, later during Shabbos? Can we do that?
Right. So this is a very interesting point. Hachana doesn't mean you are preparing for the next day. It means that what you're doing can only be explained as preparing for the next day. So if I just put ice cubes in the freezer on a Shabbos morning or Shabbos afternoon, as long as they will become useful by the end of Shabbos, it's okay.
What's your intention?
Yeah.
I don't think it does. It's an interpretation of this act.
Like, no, if your intention is I'm making ice because I've got a load of people coming for lunch on Sunday.
Yeah.
How can that be?
Because as Amanda said, because
Who would ever do that?
have to put ice in there. It's not about it's not about your intention. It's about that this action is clearly for something, or can only be explained as preparing for something else. So if I put the ice in the freezer 10 minutes before Shabbos goes out, that's a problem, because it won't become ice before Shabbos goes out. But if it's on a Shabbos afternoon and I've got 4 hours till Shabbos goes out, that would be okay. So it's
vice versa. If you've got something frozen,
yes.
say you've cooked, or you don't know you're cooking super efficiently before Yom Tov, but you want to eat something that's, say, Yom Tov is coming in Sunday night, and you want to be able to eat that thing on Sunday night. You presumably are saying you'd have to take that out that morning so that it's defrosted, and you could theoretically eat it.
Yes.
Shabbos
As long as you could eat it.
Actually intended to eat it.
Exactly. So when we want to defrost, so there'd be times, let's say Shavuos, for example, when Miri wanted to take it out on takeout soup on Shabbos afternoon that we might have had on Shavuos night. So she said, "Is that okay?" So I said, "Is it going to defrost in time that it's going to be edible? That if us or the kids wanted to eat it, that we'd be able to do that before Shabbos goes out?" She said, "Yes, it's completely fine. That's okay." So hachana is not just simply preparing. And in the case of this talk, we're talking about Shabbos into Yom Tov. Hachana is a problem because Yom Tov and Shabbos both require preparation on the day before. So if you have a Shabbos and then a Yom Tov, you're preparing, or this egg, that Shabbos becomes a preparation zone for Yom Tov. So you've got to be very careful with that. And just to go back to Juliet's point, this egg, just for the record, is not forbidden forever. It's only forbidden for Yom Tov. So even if it was laid on Sunday, you can have it on Monday, and that's okay. And that's a fair point about the waste. 100%. Right.
So can you have, so situation we have with Shavuot, can you have your hot plate coming on before Shabbos goes out, Yom Tov starts, on the basis that when Yom Tov does go out, it'll be hot enough to put food on?
Well, assuming yes, essentially yes, because there's a feasible.
Because you could potentially use it on
Yes,
Shabbos.
yes, yeah. And again, feel free to take this up with Rabbi Feldman. I'm fairly confident in this, but it's just an opinion.
Fairly things we
I'm
can-
being lenient, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, asking that, nothing wrong with it.
For the record as well, I did some digging. There are, if you're really stuck, there are ways around this. So if you're really stuck, we could talk about this further.
We'll just come to your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, he does digging.
Miriam's got her soup out very
Yeah,
early.
exactly.
He does digging beyond it.
But I don't want people feel that, like, you make a good point. Like, come on, like, who are you kidding? You're putting 6 bags of ice into the freezer and you've got, 3 hours left of Shabbos. Who are you kidding? You shouldn't feel like it's only if this action is only able to be explained as preparation that the prohibition kicks in. If there's a practical use that could fall out, and the typical example is you can prepare food. Again, we have to talk about this further, but if you think someone might pop in, so you can prepare food even though you yourself are finished eating, but for someone else you're having a guest, that'll be okay.
The crux of it is that it's still got to be in a position that's usable on the phone.
Yes, 100%. So
Maybe the best thing to do then is to use a little bit before Shabbos comes out, and use the rest of them.
I don't think you even need to use it.
No, but it will.
If that eased your conscience a little bit, yes, but I don't think you even need to go that far. Okay. Right, let's go a bit further. Fine. So as it stands, we're talking about Rabbi. Rabbi says the problem or the dispute, just to bring this a full circle. The dispute that we're having in the Mishnah between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is a problem of hachoma. And just, I neglected to mention this point. What are they arguing about, therefore? I've made a good case that an egg laid on Shabbos, an egg born on Yom Tov, will have been prepared before Shabbos. So what on earth could be Beis Shammai's reasoning for saying that it's permitted? And the dispute here is exactly the point we were talking about before, is this considered you preparing? Because ultimately you are doing nothing. This chicken is just going through its normal process. So Beis Hillel understand that this is considered to be preparing, as we have seen from the mon. The mon fell out the sky, and that was a problem. And Beis Shammai say, no, you're not doing anything. The chicken's laying its egg. Don't worry about it. You're good to go. So this is an attempted point of contention that Rabbi is saying. Okay. The Rabbi Latame, and Rabbi is consistent with his reasoning that he said somewhere else. The Omar Rabbi stated, everyone got a place in the Art Scroll? Where are we, Paul?
Halfway down you'll see written on
Down the right hand side.
Very good.
you see written, you've got rubber just above that.
Dom Rabbi, what does the pasuk mean when it says you remember this from last week's share? The pasuk says that is on the 6th day, and you shall prepare that which you bring. Now this is talking about the double portion of mon that fell on Friday. So the food of the Jews needed to be basically all set aside by the time Shabbos went in. So chol meichin the Shabbos. A weekday can prepare for the Shabbos. Chol meichin the Yom Tov. And a weekday can be used as preparation for Yom Tov. But ein Yom Tov meichin the Shabbos. But Yom Tov cannot prepare for Shabbos. But ein Shabbos meichino le Yom Tov. And Shabbos cannot prepare for a Yom Tov. And as we've said, it's because it's just disrespectful to use it as a warm-up for something else. Amalei Abaye. Abaye comes in and challenges Rabbi's answer that this is a problem of preparing and being disrespectful. Elameata, if what you're saying is true, Yom Tov ba'alma tishtaru. What we could understand as meaning a normal Yom Tov that falls on a Wednesday, why wouldn't we then allow you to eat that egg? So let's say you have a Yom Tov that falls on a Wednesday and a Thursday. So is there an issue, according to Rabbi, of preparation of desecrating a Shabbos the day beforehand? No, it's just Tuesday. So if the Yom Tov is Wednesday and this egg was prepared on Tuesday, you haven't stepped on anyone's toes, as it were. Why wouldn't you be allowed to eat that egg?
Sorry, can I just ask you?
Shoot.
You've made far too much food on the Shabbat, and you've put it out. You thought you were having guests and they haven't arrived.
Yeah.
And so you want to put half in the freezer for the
Yes.
on the Wednesday. Is that a problem? You haven't frozen it pre-Shabbat because you thought the guests were coming.
If you could freeze it and then defrost it by the time Shabbos went out, then potentially. So let's say it's Friday night, and you've put in your food into the freezer Friday night. You could arguably defrost that food by Shabbos afternoon, right? So that
No,
would
well,
be.
She's not
that.
talking about, she's talking about.
On
like, she wants us
Saturday.
not
But
to
if
open
it's-
the
if
window.
it- if
Oh,
it's-
yeah, but
yeah.
if putting something on it.
But the food was not made on
Tuesday.
Shabbos, it was made on the Friday.
It doesn't matter,
Doesn't
but the
matter,
act
does
of freezing
Right.
is preparing for a weekday thing.
Yeah.
So that unless you could feasibly freeze it and defrost it by the time Shabbos went out, it would be a problem. Because let's say you've got 2 hours left till Shabbos. Yeah, that would be a problem. You should wait till Motzei Shabbos to freeze it.
Wait till not.
Yeah, put it in the fridge. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
But don't put it in the
Don't
freezer.
freeze it.
Why does freezing get you around the?
Why is it preparation?
Because the act of putting food in the freezer
Yeah.
is clearly a preparation for Wednesday or after Shabbos. You cannot explain why else are you putting it in the freezer.
Oh, to stop the kids eating it.
So you put it in the freezer, Shabbat afternoon, take it out 6 o'clock and it defrost before Shabbat goes out.
That would be okay.
Then you can use it on Wednesday.
Oh, no, we're
No,
talking
that's
about
against the
you
object,
have
right?
leftovers of food. You had a
Okay.
massive Shabbos lunch. It was
Yeah.
the Feldman Bar Mitzvah, right? They're gonna have a ton of food left over.
Absolutely.
Now, there is no way, so they're going to put that in the freezer. Let's say comes 6 o'clock Shabbos afternoon. That's a problem of Chacham. Because why are they putting it in the freezer? It's clearly you're freezing it so that you can use it at a later date. Whereas if they were doing a Friday night dinner and they put it in the freezer and it could defrost technically by Shabbos afternoon, that I could hear more grounds to be
If
lenient.
they don't take it out of the freezer.
If
you
they
can only then
don't,
use it on a weekday, is that right?
So a very good example. Yeah, fantastic. Yes. If you take something out of the freezer 5 minutes before Shabbos, then someone asked me this really interesting question a while back. They said, can I turn to Mariv in the Siddur 10 seconds before Mariv has started? Because Shabbos is going to clock out and then we're going to start Mariv. So I've found the place before
So you're prepared.
it finishes, before Shabbos finishes, and then Shabbos is going to go out, and then I'm going to use the Siddur. So why is that not a problem of preparing? So there's a number of reasons around it. Firstly, for a mitzvah, there's also more grounds to be lenient. So you're allowed to get your Havdalah set ready. Okay, different problems, but for a mitzvah, you could be more lenient. Secondly, also, I mean, you might just want to read the words of Mariv. You might want to sort of read the Shema or something. I don't hear that that's so. No one thinks, oh gosh, yeah, he's opening his Siddur for you. I don't know. Whatever. Different. The conversation for another
I had to
time.
get one started off early, but I finished Mincha on Shabbat. Put the page marker for Marvin. It's like,
You told them.
I hear where they're coming from. I just think it's a step. I don't
Could
know.
have been worse. You could have told the person who's supposed to be governing tomorrow that they were ready to. It was
Yeah.
time to govern tomorrow.
Yeah.
Great.
That might need to be fast forwarded, haven't it?
Huh?
Most unusual situation that you were fast forwarded.
Anyway,
If you open up the process, you won't find a minute.
Yeah.
well, so Abaye comes into Rabbi and says, Rabbi, if you want to forbid all eggs on every Yom Tov, that's not fair. A Yom Tov that falls out in midweek, you're not using any day prior to that to prepare. So what would be the issue? So Rabbi says, you're right. Technically, there would be no issue with an egg that was born on Wednesday. But he says it's a gezerah. It's a decree, a rabbinic decree, Mishum Yom Tov Achar Shabbos. We're worried that if people get used to having eggs on Yom Tov, comes a Yom Tov that's on a Sunday, they're going to eat their egg as per usual, and they're going to end up having used Shabbos as preparation for Yom Tov. And then Abaye asks again, Shabbos the Almot history. So any Shabbos that you have an egg laid, it was formed on a normal Friday, and it happens to have been laid on a Shabbos. What would be the problem? So he says, same answer, Gzeira Mishum Shabbos Achar Yom Tov. It will be a problem of Shabbos after Yom Tov. Now we're going to have a new concept. So as it stands, we have Rabbi, he said it's a problem of preparation, and we're going to even forbid any eggs born midweek on a Yom Tov, lest the Yom Tov fall on a Sunday and people just continue with normal Yom Tov practice. So now we're going to introduce, now that we've come into contact with the Gezerah, that's a decree, we have a rule. Rabbinic decrees are instituted so that biblical decrees aren't violated. Now that we have a rule, you cannot make a decree, a rabbinic decree, for a rabbinic decree. That's called a gezerah legezerah. You can't do that. You get one fence and that's it. Now, the Gemara is going to challenge Rabbi's principle of forbidding every egg born on Yom Tov, regardless of whether this Yom Tov is on a Sunday or not, on this principle. It is umigos rinon, and do we make this gezerah, this decree? V'hatanya, we taught in a Beitzah, hasheichet es hatarnagolos. If someone slaughtered a chicken on Yom Tov, umotza bo Beitzim gemuros, and found perfectly formed, ready to leave the chicken eggs in this chicken, mutares la'achlam b'Yom Tov. You're allowed to eat them on Yom Tov. The im isa, and if we're worried that people are going to come to eat eggs that were laid on Yom Tov, ligzor mishum hanoch de mislal de b'yomehen. Let's make a decree that these eggs are forbidden based on. I've jumped the gun. Fine, apologies. We're not doing zero to zero here, but we have a case here. We have a case that we know this is a widely understood statement. If someone slaughters a chicken and finds perfectly formed eggs inside, they would have been laid in 5 minutes. We are allowed to eat those eggs. That is not a problem of Hacham. Says Abaye, why not? Why don't we make a gezerah? We make a gezerah about eggs that were fully formed in the chicken, and we decree that those eggs are forbidden in case someone comes to eat eggs that were laid. Why don't we make that decree? Again, eggs that are laid on every Yom Tov are always a problem. But somehow, if someone were to slaughter a chicken 10 seconds before it laid an egg and then eat that egg, that would be okay. Says the Gemara, surely that's a bit confusing. Why don't we also make a decree that applies to those eggs that are found in the chicken itself? So the Gemara says, Beitzim gemuros b'mei imon milsa delei shchichahi or milsa delei shchicha legozu gorabanim. It's too far-fetched. We're not going to have a widespread decree that forbids any chickens with eggs inside them because it's just too rare an occurrence. So, and it's not a nolad. So Andy's raising a fair point. He's saying, well, what would be the problem? What would be the problem at all?
If you designate the chicken, the shlichah, the chicken and everything in it is then designated.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, whether it's eggs or chicken or soup eggs or whatever.
I think the problem would be that you're right. Although technically there would be no issue with that, people would be confused because at the end of the day, everyone's going to be serving fully formed eggs at their Yom Tov table. And the people aren't going to appreciate that this egg came from a chicken carcass and this egg was laid. So that would be the... Sorry?
You're eating yourself.
You're eating it?
Eating yourself.
And you'll tell the difference. We're assuming there would be no visible difference. I know, but you know.
Yeah.
So you as the chicken owner might think, oh yeah, well, these fully formed eggs are okay, so the other fully formed eggs are okay. That would be the grounds to make the gezerah. Practically speaking, we don't, only because it's so rare. But the confusion might still stand. Brilliant. Okay, there's a bit more to say here, but I think we're running a bit out of time. Let's go a bit further. So this, by the way, has been our second answer. The first answer as to what Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel were arguing about was Rav Nachman, who said it's going to be a problem of muktzah. We dispensed with that. The second answer we've had is Rabbi. Rabbi says it's going to be a problem of hachana. It's going to be a problem of preparation. And so far, that seems pretty watertight. We've extended his Shabbos Sunday prohibition to all Yom Tovs because we don't want people to get confused. But ultimately speaking, this could be a point that Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel argue about. Beis Hillel would say this isn't considered preparation because you didn't do anything. Sorry, Beis Hillel would say it's considered preparation, and Beis Shammai would say, yeah, this egg is allowed because you didn't do anything. We do paskin like Beis Hillel, we rule like Beis Hillel, and so this would be considered a problem. Right, fair enough. Now we're going to come to a third answer. Rabbi Yosef says, I'll tell you what this dispute is about. It's a gezerah mishum peirus hanoshrim. It's this dispute between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel about whether you're allowed to eat an egg that's laid, really, if you'll pardon the pun, stems from a case of fruit that fell off a tree. Now, the point of contention here would be, we all know that fruit that falls off the tree, you're forbidden to eat on Shabbos. And that's because you might get confused and come to pick the fruit itself. This dispute, Beitzah Shammai Beis Hillel, says Rabbi Yosef, could be about whether eggs coming out of chickens is akin to fruit falling from trees. Would you think that an egg laid on Shabbos is okay, therefore a fruit that fell off a tree would be okay? That would be the potential problem. So people are going to think, oh, because I can have an egg from a chicken, I can have a fruit that fell off a tree. And if I can have a fruit that fell off a tree, I can take a fruit from the tree itself.
There's a fundamental difference, isn't it?
Go on.
With the chicken, you've got to sort of you're actually doing something.
And no, we're talking about the chicken that's laid. The egg that's laid. Sorry, we're going back to the case. The Mishnah,
sorry.
it's an egg that was laid. Yes, an egg that was laid. And so again, we're talking about the chicken laying the egg is akin to a tree dropping its fruit. And so if you can eat the egg, you can eat the apple. And if you can eat the apple, you might come to pick it. Now, this is where we come to Gezerah and Gezerah.
Yeah, that's a subject. But the thing is that I think you're passive, the whole thing about the egg.
Yes.
Whereas if you go pick a fruit, you're doing something active.
No, the fruit itself is sitting on the ground.
Yeah, picking a piece of fruit off the floor.
Well, picking is an active.
No.
No, the Gezerah is all,
Picking up the fruit.
Yeah, the Gezerah is against picking up the windfall. It's picking up fruit that's already on the floor. Because if you come to pick up the fruit on the floor, you might come to pick it from the tree.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's an active thing.
What's the action?
The reaction to picking it's hard.
That's what we're going to lead to. That's the concern that it might lead to.
Yes.
But at the moment, as it stands, we're discussing whether we should forbid eggs that were laid because of their similarity to fruit on the ground. Now, fruit on the ground has its own problem of if you take fruit from the ground, then you might come to pick fruit from the tree. But the fruit on the ground is still a problem. It's still a problem. It's got its own
Not just
Gezerah.
on Shabbat, but also on Yom Tov, is it a problem?
And Yom Tov, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Gathering.
No, brilliant point. Yeah, it's not because it's gathering, it's because it's harvesting. So due to if you see this apple on the ground and you start munching apples on Yom Tov, you might just come to casually pick one off the tree. Now, while there's nothing technically wrong with eating an apple on the floor, picking one from the tree is a biblical prohibition of harvesting. So we forbid apples on the floor lest you come to pick them from the tree. So Amalei Abaye. Abaye says, Perus Hanoshim, apples fruit that fell off a tree, Tamomai. What's the reason why we said they're forbidden? We're concerned that maybe you'll climb up the tree and detach the apple. Says Abaye, he gufa gezerah. That itself is a gezerah. That itself, we've already established a fence surrounding the apple on the floor. And we've now gone and made a decree for that decree. So the apple on the ground is a decree that is forbidden lest you come to pick the apple from the tree. And now we're making another decree of eggs lest you come to take the apple. And you can't have a decree safeguarding a decree. You have to have only decrees safeguarding biblical prohibitions. So says Abaye, Rav Yosef, it's very nice that you come in with this suggestion that maybe we're going to have a decree about eggs that pertains to fruit on the ground, but it's you're bubble wrapping Judaism too much. You don't have decrees all over the place. Answers the Gemara, Kula Chada Gezerah. This is all really one decree, and really they were established and they were instituted at the same time. So the same prohibition that was established regarding the apples on the ground was also extended at the same time of its creation to the egg from the chicken, meaning that we made a decree pertaining to both eggs and apples that one might come to pick apples from a tree. So I think we might have to hold it there. But yeah, I think we're going to hold it because we're going to get into something else completely. But that is a brilliant place to wrap up. Let's just summarize what we've gone through. We had a dispute Beitzah Shammai and Beitzah Hillel. We had one potential answer, which Rav Nachman said is muktzah, but we said no, it can't be because we should argue about the chicken and the egg, not just the egg. Then came in Rabbi, and Rabbi said, I'll tell you what the dispute is. The dispute is hachana. It's talking about a case where the Yom Tov fell immediately after a Shabbos, and the Shabbos has now prepared for the Yom Tov, and that's disrespectful for the Shabbos, and the same thing would apply vice versa, and we've not found an issue with that. Then we had a third answer, which was Rabbi Yosef, that said maybe it's a gezerah of fruit, and we said that for now we could understand that this dispute is about whether the egg decree pertains also to fruit. So Beis Hillel would say that it does, and Beis Shammai said no, fruit and eggs are completely different. And I think that is a good place to stop.
Cool.